Hello everyone, and welcome to my very first commentary. Today I will be taking you through my 1cc run of Battle Axe on hard mode with the character Ialo. I'll discuss a bit about the different characters in the game, the mechanics of the game, as well as what to focus on should you want to clear the game yourself. I'll give my thoughts a bit on what I like and dislike about the game. It's not going to be an actual review, but just like some random thoughts I have about the game. And I would like to spend a bit of time discussing some of the very negative Steam reviews I've been reading, which I feel are mostly unfair. And yeah, I feel like people don't really understand this game or what it's trying to do. But anyway, let's get started. So this game is a kind of like a Golden Axe or hack and slash game, although it has a bit more of a focus on range combat, especially with the character I chose. Now all the characters have the same moveset. They have the melee attack, which in the case of this character is attacking with your beard. Everybody has a ranged attack. For this character it's shooting some kind of energy ball with your staff, and then there's like a dash attack. Again, in the case of this character, it's a teleport, where if you teleport into an enemy, you will telefrag them. Now, all characters also have the ability to strafe, because by default this is like a purely 8-way game. So you can only fire and attack in the 8 standard directions. There's no analog input support. And all characters except this one are able to move and shoot. And then when you hold the shot button, you will lock yourself into that direction, and then you can strafe while shooting in that same direction. Unfortunately, this character cannot move and shoot at the same time. So strafing doesn't really work, but oddly enough, if you like teleport and hold the button, then you are able to strafe, but then you can't shoot, so that's a bit weird. The fact that this character cannot shoot and move makes it, I feel, the most difficult character to use, especially early game. Early game, you have almost no resources. Which means you will die quite quickly, but as soon as you make it to like stage 3, you're pretty much good to go with this character. Now you see these like purple towers, these are enemy spawners. It seems like they typically spawn a fixed amount of enemies, depending on the difficulty level you're playing at. But that's not always the case. Like some towers stop producing enemies, and then for whatever reason, sometimes you hit them a few times and then they start producing enemies again. The game has 4 stages in total. This is the first stage, which is more like a tutorial stage, as it's not very difficult. It's quite relaxed. It just gives you a chance to figure out the moveset, how the game plays, without being overwhelmed by enemies. This game has quite some of these like diagonal bridges, and the unfortunate thing is that they're not exactly at 45 degrees, whereas you can only shoot at like 45 degrees diagonally. Which means that if you're on one of these bridges and you want to shoot, you're just gonna shoot the side of the bridge, which makes fighting on these bridges quite risky. So between every level there's a shop where you can spend the gold coins that I've been collecting to buy upgrades for your character. There are essentially 4 types of upgrades: health upgrades, of which there are 3. Then there's an upgrade to increase your melee strength, one upgrade to increase your speed, and one to increase your ranged attack. Yeah, so here we have the first boss. Relatively simple, just move around a bit. At the halfway marker, enemies will start spawning. Do take them out quickly. But other than that, there's not much to say about this fight. So I got a C rank, the rank goes up to S. The S rank you get if you do not get hit and you save all the villagers, the people. Saving them doesn't really do a lot, except like it's a score thing.
Thanks. Goodbye.
So there you just see like the shop. I didn't spend too much time in it. Yeah, the focus in the early game is really to get those coins. You want to get as many coins as possible, as quickly as possible. And then depending on which character you're playing, you know, you should prioritize different upgrades. For this character, because this character is very weak with its melee attack, but it's really strong with its ranged attack. So for this character, I would prioritize health, because you don't have a lot of health in the beginning, and then the ranged attack upgrade. But the ranged attack upgrade costs 100 coins, and you are not able to get 100 coins off the first level, so that's why I always pick the health upgrade first, and then after this level we should be able to get the ranged upgrade. Now this level is quite more hectic than the first one. You have a lot of enemies continuously spawning, you have these weird tentacles that chase you. They all also spawn if you create one of those towers. And this level feels very long. It feels like the longest level in the game. And it also takes a bit of time because, as I said, you really want to milk those coins, so you want to get as many as possible. You should be able to get something like 225 around that area at the end. Now, this game also has items. There's not many of them. I now have one item in my inventory, which is like a chicken that heals 1 bar of health. You also have a health potion, which fully heals you, which is by far the best item in the game. Then you have a bomb item, which, well, it's a one-time explosion. It's pretty crappy. And then you have a scroll, which is like a set of screen clearing explosion, which is reasonable. It can come in handy when dealing with bosses. So this particular character is really strong ranged attack wise, because the enemies that that the tower spawn, like these that I'm killing right now, with all the other characters, they would take 2 hits to kill, whereas with Ialo's ranged attack, it's just like 1 hit. It also means that like taking down bosses goes a lot faster, but you always have the downside that you can't move around while you are using your ranged attack. So the other 2 characters are Rooney and Faye. So Rooney has 5 hit points instead of the default 4 of the other 2 characters. Its ranged attack is a cannon, which feels very powerful, but I think it's not very powerful. It's a lot less powerful than Ialo's ranged attack. Rooney is also very slow, even though you have 1 more hit point. It's just, even with the speed upgrade, it's still like a slow character, and I feel it's the least fun character to play because of that. Now Faye is a very fast character. I think it's the most well balanced, as in a very high attack speed, especially compared to Rooney, whose attack speed is also melee attack speed is also very slow. With Faye, it's very fast and snappy. She's very agile, but the damage output is probably the lowest of the characters. But it's by far the most fun to play with her. If you're interested in seeing runs with those two characters, I also have 1cc runs up on my channel. Now here's a small secret: if you walk between those between the fires, you will get like a random item dropped. Now I got this scroll that will essentially clear the screen when used. I don't really know why I picked it up, to be honest, because I'd always prefer to have a health item over a damage item. Now graphics wise, I think the first stage looked absolutely fantastic. I think this stage looks a bit bland because it's all relatively dark and kind of muted color set. The next level again looks very nice. Yeah, this level is the only level that gives a guaranteed potion. But we don't need it yet, so we're just gonna leave it there and pick it up later. So any items you get from a chest, they will, once picked up, you will drop the existing item you had, and that item will disappear after a few seconds. But any item that just spawns out of a chest or just is lying around, as that potion is, will not go away. It will just stay there. Yeah, that's very unfortunate. Whatever comes out of the chest often like goes over the ledge, and then you can't reach it. Also, sometimes when an item spawns out of a chest and you accidentally pick it up, your existing item that you're carrying will like fly off to somewhere, and that is prone to get stuck in a wall or like in some crevice where you can't reach it, which is super unfortunate if you, for example, lose a potion that way. Now these are very good coin farming spots where you have multiple of these towers, of these enemy spawners. But finding them on this ridge is always kind of tricky because of the angles. Now difficulty-wise, I think there are like three standard difficulties: casual, easy, and hard, where hard is like the default difficulty. So out of the box you will be playing hard mode unless you change that setting. So playing on lower difficulty really means that the bosses are a lot more easier. There's also less enemy spawns overall. And I think, but I'm not sure anymore, that enemies have less health, so take less hits to defeat. And you have far less of these annoying tentacles. Now the controls of these games, even though they're like fairly simple and straightforward, the the way the ranged attack works, that you can only fire in 8 directions, and with the other characters you're most of the time locking in a certain direction so you can strafe. It takes a bit of getting used to. And many times you will hit like the wrong direction, and then you kind of like shooting the wrong way, and if an enemy is right in front of you, they will hit you at that point. Of course, there could also be just that I'm using a lousy controller to play this game. I'm using the D-pad of a regular Xbox Series controller, which probably is not the greatest to use, but yeah. Maybe later this year I'll get an actual arcade stick. But especially like the slightly faster character, that once you have the speed upgrade, the game feels really good to play. So as soon as you get used to like this 8-way shooting thing, then the game is a lot of fun. A lot of fun to play. Now we're almost at the stage 2 boss. Got a stupid hit there. But there's the bomb item, which is pretty useless. Yeah, so I almost forgot about the potion we left somewhere mid-level. So I'm going back to collect it. Trying now to not spend too much time finding these tentacles, because they don't give coins. So already at 250 coins, which is really good actually. So I immediately use it and then collect the damage item again. Yeah, so this boss of the second stage is a lot harder if you cannot strafe. So I guess that is why I wanted to keep this this damage scroll versus a health item. Now look at that boss. It looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, so the boss jumps around, shoots at you and spawns these little critters. So you can see why being able to strafe and shoot at the same time would come in very handy. Because I'm taking quite some hits, so I'm using my weapon now just to lower the health a bit quicker, because in the final phase it spawns a lot more of those critters, which gets super annoying with this character. So now we have a ton of money to spend on upgrades, so we're gonna get at least the range upgrade, probably the speed upgrade and the health upgrade. With this character there's no point in spending money on the melee upgrade, because we're just not gonna use melee. Again, that enemy that I one-shotted, yeah, no other character can do that. And we've upgraded our range attack because it turned red-orange. Yeah, so this stage I feel looks very nice. The clouds, I mean, it looks nice, but they're kind of annoying because they get into the way of like where the enemies are. And I guess here it's not too bad because lots of like room to move, but there are other places where there's also a ton of trees where enemies can hide, and then the clouds just make that harder. Yeah, fire traps also become like more annoying every stage, So the first stage doesn't have them, the second stage is just like a straight line. Here it's a waving line. And then the next stage, well, they get super annoying. Now we don't need too many coins anymore because there's only really one health upgrade that I really need, which costs 100 coins. So typically when I have enough coins to buy all the upgrades I need, I stop caring about collecting coins and just trying to get through the levels as quick as possible. Which means at that point any enemy spawners, like these towers that we've seen before, I'll just kill them as quickly as possible. Now, a lot of the critiques you will read on Steam about this game is that it lacks saves, lacks continues. I mean, it's like 4 stages. It takes like half an hour to clear the game. So I really feel it doesn't need save games, save states, or like any way to save your progress, because it's just half an hour. This is an arcade style game, which means you're meant to play it over and over and to gradually improve upon it. So these games are not supposed to take a very long time to clear, because that would get really annoying. The fact that there are no continues, yeah. For some people, you know, they feel if they're just not good enough at this type of game, so they will never be able to see the end unless they have continues. But there's like a casual mode, which is like very easy. So even then, this shouldn't really be an issue. And like I said, you should just like, oh, this enemy is very bad. Because it charges at you, and it might charge at you from like a position where you can't see it, so from outside of the current screen. There's typically like an audio cue that you know it's close by, but you really just need to learn like where those enemies are. Almost got hit there. I think Faye with her ranged weapon, before it's upgraded, cannot kill those enemies, because their shield will just block the knives that she's throwing. Oh, potion, that's will come in very handy. Yeah, it's best to not linger in a spot because of all the fire spawners there. Yeah, typically these games are also critiqued because they're like too difficult, and then combined with the fact there's like no continues or saves, it's off-putting to a lot of people. But I always feel like this game is a lot of fun to play. And every time you play it, you just get noticeably better at it. And as I said, if you really focus on collecting coins early and just milk those spawners and not destroy those enemy spawners, those towers, until they stop spawning enemies, you know, you will have a much better time, and you will make much better progress. So another critique you will read often is that people feel the game is too zoomed in. I mean, it gives it a unique appearance, a unique aesthetic, I feel. I really like it, but it is true that if you're, you know, I'm playing on a 16 by 9 screen. So when you move left to right, there's quite a bit of like screen space on the sides to view, so you're not that often surprised by enemies that come from the left to right. But if you move up and down, there's of course a lot less space, and if there's some enemy there, you can easily get surprised by it, especially if you're like dashing or just like moving up and suddenly an enemy such as the shielded person that we just saw, if that dashes like downwards or upwards, like from outside of the screen, it's really hard to react to that. So I guess that is a somewhat fair criticism, but again, you know, this game, you're meant to play it like a lot, and so you kind of learn like which areas you need to be careful of and take it a bit slower. There's typically also audio cues that will let you know if there's an enemy hiding above or below you. Also, it seems like a lot of people would have preferred that this game would have had analog controls or like twin stick controls. I've played a lot of twin stick shooters in my time. I don't think this would be a good fit for that, actually. But the comment I always like hate the most, which you read a lot on these types of games, is like, oh, you know, the game is like 30 minutes. Why does it cost like X amount of money? You know, it's a ripoff. Yeah, again, you know, these types of games are meant to be played over and over. They're meant to be cleared in one sitting, so they shouldn't take forever. That being said, I would have liked more than just 4 levels. I'm not saying I would have liked, you know, have to go through 8 levels, so a single run takes an hour. Maybe a 5th level would have been nice, but what I mean more is that it should have had some kind of like branching path. So at some point you've played these levels enough and you're kind of like done with it. So for a bit more variety, it would be nice if there were like more levels, and then there are like different paths you can take after each level that will then take you to a different level. So kind of what, what's the game called? Guardian Heroes on the Saturn did. It had a lot of levels, and after every level you typically have a choice on like which one to proceed to next. Shmups also often have it, like all the Darius games have like routes from, well, they're all numbered, so you start at A and then you can go up to B or down to C, and then every letter again then gives you a choice of like 2 or sometimes 3 paths, where the upper path is typically easier than the lower path. Also like an old classic like Outrun, the Sega arcade racer, also had branching paths. So I think branching paths would be really good for these types of games to give it more variety, but still like keeping the actual runtime manageable. So I'm also a very big fan of like beat 'em ups, and when like Streets of Rage 4 came out, I was like super excited because I really love Streets of Rage 2. And Streets of Rage 4 is an excellent game.
Thank you.
The only real criticism I have of it is like it's too long. It's like if you want to clear it in one setting, it's just too long. Yeah, this is the final stage. This is a lot more difficult than the other ones. Mainly because of, well, you have all kinds of different and new enemies. These ones actually take multiple hits to kill. There's also sorcerers that can like appear and disappear. And the enemy I just cleared is probably the most annoying one. And then yeah, you know, flame towers in this level, they're like upgraded. They pop out of the ground and then you just circle around. But they go so fast that it's really hard to avoid the flames. Now on lower difficulties, they rotate so slowly that you just don't get hit. And because these towers just pop up at, well, they always pop up at the same position, so you should know where they are. But like chests and like these people that you can like save, it's usually not worth the risk of getting hit by the fire. Oh yeah, did you see that? I almost glitched. Like when that happened, I was afraid, because this run is going pretty well, I was afraid I had to like redo my run. Almost got stuck in that wall there. Yeah, so these flaming traps, they're like super annoying. It's so easy to get hit. And it's just like, I also just bypassed a part of the level just to get quickly run past all these fire traps. Ignore a lot of these like villagers and chests. I think it's just like all too risky. Here I also go kind of slow, trying to not to get hit. Here the fact that these bridges are not 45 degrees is really messing with me. I got some very stupid hits here, so I had to use my potion. Yeah, these skeletons, if you hit them, their head will fly off and explode. They only explode on hard mode. On low difficulties, they do not explode. It's also worth mentioning that if you clear the game, you will unlock New Game Plus, which seems like a super hard mode. And I mean, that mode is like really hard. Besides the normal arcade mode that I'm playing right now, there's also endless mode. Where you essentially, well, I mean, you play an endless list of stages. Each stage you need to collect a certain amount of like people, and then a gate opens that will take you to the next stage. And every 10 stages, kind of like the theme of the stage changes, and you'll have to collect one additional person. And you know, if you get to like stage 20 or something in that area, it becomes quite hectic, because there's like pretty much all kinds of enemy varieties thrown together, spawning all the time. But it is actually quite a bit of fun. It's a shame that the startup time before it gets fun is like too long. I mean, like the first 10 stages, it's just like boring. You're just trying to get through them, trying to get coins so you can buy your upgrades. It would have been better if they would just give you all the upgrades from the start. And then essentially started at like level 11 or something, difficulty wise, because then it kind of becomes fun to play. So this is the final stretch. We're inside the tower. I don't think it matters like which direction you choose actually. You just need to clear, I think, 3 of these chambers, and every chamber will have like more of these enemy spawning towers. But most of them you can like take out off screen. I think only the next room is quite difficult in the beginning, because you're gonna essentially get flooded by a bunch of enemies. So I still have 2 lives left. I didn't die yet, which is like really good actually. Like the first time I started playing this character, I was like, no way that I can beat this game with this character. Just because the fact that you can't move and shoot, I mean, it felt like so limiting. But now I feel it's actually the most powerful character in the game. It's just that like the early game is like really tough, because you know, you're not powered up enough yet. So here it is, the final boss. Phase 1. Where you shoot these homing things that are kind of annoying to avoid. Because the further away you are, from or whence it shoots, the faster this thing shoots towards you. And then the second phase, the first part is like super easy. You just stand there and shoot. You do a ton of damage. Like, she's already down 2/3 of the way. But for some reason, like the further the enemy is in the life bar, the harder it gets to chip it down. So I take a death there. So it's kind of unfortunate. I almost had a no death run here, but well, it is what it is. Anyway, yeah, I mean, this game, it's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend people trying it out. I think it's made by the same people that worked on Final Vendetta, which is like a fantastic beat 'em up. I also have playthroughs with all 3 characters of Final Vendetta on my channel as well, so you can also like check those out. But yeah, I mean, if you approach this game as like, this is an arcade game, the intent is to clear it in one sitting, then a lot of the choices the game made make a lot of sense. And, you know, I do feel it's worth the money. But, you know, in general, I really like these types of games. So that was that.